Alright, hey folks. So if you remember in my last video segment, we went ahead and faded the car down with some acrylic white, kind of sprayed it through my airbrush, and that was done with 3 parts, 70% alcohol, 1 part paint. And then we went along the bottom of the car with some railroad tie brown, and we did the ends of the car also. So the next step is to get in there and really start to rust the car down. So just keep in mind there's a lot of different ways to weather your rolling stock. This is only one way to do it. I don't necessarily weather every single pieces of my rolling stock this way. This is just one of the options, one of the ways that I do it. Some people just weather using chalk. Some people don't weather their rolling stock at all. It all depends on what you're looking for on your railroad. So the next step is just really start adding some rust streaks to the car, and what I use is oil paint, and this is actually a burnt umber. I guess you pronounce that Winton. I'm not sure, but I use this at 100%. I don't dilute this at all for this next step. So I get myself kind of a fine brush. Not real fine, it's not real stiff. And this is what I'm going to use to start adding full strength rust right along the top of the car. So we just get in there with the brush. I'm going to try to do this so you can see. We just kind of get up on top of the car and just start adding this on the top. And just kind of keep working that in, kind of where the rust would be. I'm going to actually switch to a little bit of a smaller brush here. That was just a little too big. I'll go in with something a little finer. So I can just kind of get on the tops of these. Here. Just keep in mind, like I mentioned in my other videos, you just want to always try to find a prototype car, not necessarily the same road number, but at least a similar car so you can kind of have an idea of how it weathers in the real world. Okay, so that's just a real quick full strength oil along the top. Now the next step is I'll come in here with this brush, and this is kind of important. You don't want to kind of go at an angle. You want to try to keep the brush as straight as possible when you bring this oil paint down, and very lightly just start bringing those streaks down. Kind of like that. And we just keep working that. And this is very, very lightly pulling the oil paint and streaking it down the side of the car. Bring it all the way down to the bottom. And that's really coming out with a pretty good effect. And one of the things you want to keep in mind with oil paint is you don't want to overdo it. You need to give these layers time to dry. So in between layers, you want to make sure, I usually give it a good 24 hours to dry before I start manipulating anything else. Otherwise, you'll ruin the work that you just did. And this, like I said, this part right here, I'm just very lightly pulling that oil paint down the sides of the car and as straight as possible. Just like that. Now the same idea for along the bottom of the car, where the water would pool up. I'll switch back to my little brush and actually go right inside the sill right here. And once again, this is full strength burnt umber. And I'm just kind of spotting it on there right now. I'll come in and manipulate the paint with the bigger brush. So once I get that layer in there, just anywhere, there's no science to it. What I'll do is I'll just get in here with this bigger brush and just kind of work that in. Right on that rusty bottom seam right here. Okay, so it's a little darker over here, a little nice shading going on, different, nice rusting effect with that. And that's how easy it is. So we went from this, which is scratch pen, if you remember from the first video on the lettering, faded with white, added some railroad tie brown with my airbrush along the bottom of the car, and then just straight burned umber oil paint. We just kind of put it on the sides and let it run right down. Okay, give it a try, see what you think. I'm going to work on the other sides of the car, and then I'll get in and do the ends on the next video and show you how that all works. Alright, have fun. It's easy, it's quick, and it really brings your rolling stock to life. Thanks for watching.